Medea and Pelias, her flight. Then to continue with her witch's tricks, Medea, feigning enmity between herself and Jason, fled as suppliant to Pelias, and there, since weight of years burdened the king, his daughters welcomed her. In a brief while the crafty Colchian had won them with a false display of friendship. She told, among her most deserving feats, how she had banished Aeson's blighting years, and as she dwelt on that, led Pelias' daughters to hope the like skill might rejuvenate their father too. And this they begged, and bade her name her price, a price unlimited. She for a time was silent and appeared to hesitate, and kept them in suspense by what seemed weighty thoughts, but in a while giving her promise. To increase, she said, your confidence, the leader of your flock, your oldest sheep, my drug shall make a lamb. At once a shaggy ram was brought, a ram worn out by untold years, with curving horns upon his hollow temples. With her knife of Thessaly, Medea slit his scrawny throat, his scanty blood just smeared the blade. Then in a vat of bronze the witch plunged the ram's carcass with her powerful drugs. They shrank his body, burnt his horns away, and with his horns his ears. Then down inside the vat was heard a small soft bleating sound, and in a moment, while they marveled at the bleats, out jumped a lamb and skipped away, frisking to find a mother's milky teat. The daughters were amazed. Her promises had proved their truth. They urged her all the more. 3 times had Phoebus now unyoked his team, when they had plunged in Ebro's sunset stream. It was the 4th night, and the shining stars were shimmering as that false enchantress placed a pot of water on a crackling fire. Plain water then, and herbs that had no power. And now in sleep like death the old king lay relaxed, and with their king the royal guard. Sleep given by her magic chants and spells. The daughters entered at Medea's bidding, and stood around the bed. Why wait, she said, why stand there idle? Draw your swords and drain his ancient blood, that I with young fresh blood may fill his empty veins. His age, his life is in your hands. If love and loyalty move you at all, unless hope springs in vain, do him this service. By those blades of yours expel old age. Plunge in your steel, I say, and let his sorry fluid flow away. So urged, each in her loving loyalty vied in disloyalty, and each in fear of guilt was guilty. Yet not one of them could bear to see her blows. They looked away. The wounds they gave, those savage wounds, were blind. The old king, streaming blood, yet raised himself upon his elbow, butchered as he was. He tried to rise from bed. Amid those swords, so many swords, he stretched his pallid arms. Daughters, what are you doing? What has armed you, he cried, to kill your father? Their hearts failed, their hands fell. As he spoke again, the witch cut short the words and windpipe in his throat, and plunged him, butchered, in the boiling pot. Had she not soared away with her winged dragons, she surely must have paid the price. Aloft over the peak of shady Pelion, old Chiron's home, she fled, and over Othrys and those fair uplands that Cerambus' fate made famous long ago. By the nymph's aid wings bore him through the air, and when the earth's great mass was whelmed beneath Deucalion's flood, he escaped unflooded by the sweeping sea. She flew past Pitane of Elis, down on the left where the long dragon lay, a shape of stone, past Ida's grove where once Bacchus had hidden, in a deer's disguise, the steer his son had stolen. past the tomb of Paris buried in the shallow sand, the meadowlands that Mira terrified with monstrous barks, Eurypylus' fair town, where wives of Cos wore horns when Hercules left with his troops, Rhodes, Phoebus' favorite, Iolcus, where lived the vile Telchines, whose evil eyes had blighted everything, till Jove in loathing sank them all beneath his brother's waves. And then she passed the walls of old Carthia, where Alcidamas would marvel that a gentle dove was given birth from his daughter's body. Then she saw Lake Hyrae and the idyllic vale renowned, when sickness suddenly became a swan. At that boy's bidding, Pelias had brought birds and a savage lion that he'd tamed. Ordered to tame a bull, he tamed that too, and angry that his love was spurned so long, refused the boy the bull, that last best gift. Pouting, he cried, "You'll wish you'd given it," and leapt from a high headland. Everyone thought he had fallen. He was made a swan and floated in the air on snowy wings. But Hyrae, his mother, unaware that he was saved, in tears dissolved away, and made the lake that keeps her name today. Nearby is Pleuron, where on fluttering wings Combe, the child of Ophius, escaped her son's assault. And next Medea saw Calaria's fields, Latona's isle, that knew her king changed with his consort into birds. Then on her right Cyllene, where Menephron like a wild beast would share his mother's bed. And in the distance she looked back upon Cephisus, weeping for his grandson, made a bloated seal, and on Eumelus' home, who mourned his son, a denizen of the air. At last, borne on her dragon's wing, she reached Corinth, Pyrenees' town, where ancient lore relates that mortals, when the world was young, emerged from mushrooms rising after rain. But when her witch's poison had consumed the new wife, and the sea on either side had seen the royal palace all in flames, her wicked sword was drenched in her son's blood. And winning thus a mother's vile revenge, she fled from Jason's sword. Her dragon team, the sun god's dragons, carried her away to Pallas' citadel, which once had seen Phene so righteous, and old Periphas winging together, and the granddaughter of Polypemon floating on new wings. There Aegeus welcomed her, in that one act at fault. To be his guest was not enough. He joined her in the bond of matrimony.